Gators Power Systems is the area's leading Kohler standby generator solution, specializing in maintenance, repair, and installation on all major brands, from gas to diesel and 2 kW to 2000. Home or commercial, our team has you covered. Our factory-certified technicians and installers are highly trained to provide response and repair when you need it the most. We service what we sell, period. Trust the Gators, where we sink our teeth into service.
I hate to say it. It's that time of year again. It's hurricane season right around the corner. And of course, we ought to be prepared by now. We've been through quite a bit here in the area, but we're going to get you prepared anyway. Two great guys up here to do it. We have the parish president of Terrebonne Parish, Jason W. Badgeron, is in the house, and he's raring to go today.
Yes, sir.
And for total transparency, we enjoyed a few donuts before the show, so we ought to be all amped up today. And we have, of course, Earl Hughes, Terrebonne Parish EOC Director. Good to see you again, Earl, too.
Good to be here, Martin, and glad to get people back in the hurricane mode again. We'll be doing a lot of public service announcements and reaching out to the public to make sure they're prepared for this upcoming season.
Now, I know the parish president has been, I wouldn't use the word eager, but getting ready at a fast clip. Let's show you a couple of pictures in the audience, and we'll bring up some of the meetings that they had. And there you see it. And let's go to that wide shot if we could. That's a packed house. So, Mr. Parish President, y'all had how many people there? That looks like most everybody's intense in that meeting, too.
We had 89 people, and I want to thank Chef Saunier, Bubba Angeron, Mike Silbear, Waterworks. You had a bunch of different people in the room that won't necessarily be in the room if there is an event that will send people, but to get everybody together, talk about lessons learned from Ida, and to look through what things that we can maybe do better the next time was a great opportunity for us to have a conversation on being prepared.
And what we'll do, too, I'll go to Earl in the next shot, ask him a question. I want to roll in some B-roll, not as a scare tactic. You know, we've said this before, but as a reminder that when these gentlemen and other people are making calls in the parish to please heed the warning. So, Earl, let me talk to you as we look at this B-roll again. We'll start with downtown Houma. Do you find people after Ida, especially the young generation who had missed out for a while? We hadn't had majors come right over Terrebonne Parish in a while. But do you find that, all right, they got the memo and they're sort of gearing up and they're ready now? They know what it's like?
Yeah, a lot of people I talked to that stayed for Hurricane Ida, most, I'd say 99% of those that stayed said they will not stay again for a Category 4. And I'll revert back to another question to those when I talk to those people is, what part of Category 4 did you not understand? Because I need some help to make sure that I can give the right information out to people to let them understand the damages and the dangers of staying for a Category 4.
Mm-hmm. And I'm still arguing that it was a Cat 5. I mean, look, we were sitting right here, and when the whole building was breathing and doors were blown up, upstairs, and the bank building windows were blown out, I've never seen anything quite like it. Mr. Parish President, you come on board, of course. You've been around here for a long time. It's not your first rodeo with hurricanes, but what are you learning? What are you trying? What's your blueprint as far as your administration for hurricanes, especially big hurricanes like this?
It's a situation where, everybody's worried to leave. I stayed for Ida also, that 4 or 5 hour time frame plus 100-mile-an-hour winds really makes you think. And right after Ida passed, going out in the neighborhood and see kind of everybody's doing, it was little things that really made me realize how lucky I was. A neighbor across the street had a 15-foot branch, 1 foot centimeter branch, 1 foot round branch that went into his roof and was sticking out above his bedroom, and they had evacuated, and it's in that situation, never, not really worried about the water with the levee work that we've done, but knowing that, it could, a tornado here or some heavy winds for a period there could really have it impacted the family, and everybody has that conversation. It's like, well, if it gets to a 3 or if it gets to this, it's gonna, I'm gonna leave, and that's really too late, and the biggest thing I think people worry about is being able to get back in. And we've proven after Ida, Tim, Sonia, and I have had some conversations about what does, post-hurricane reentry look like. And we both agree that we want to let people get back to their homes. But I know what I was going to say. The thing you have to make sure you understand is, we didn't have water. We didn't have electricity. We might not be able to get to you. Our first priority could be getting the roads cleared and allowing people to get back to their places. But once you get there, some places didn't have electricity for 30 days. And so we want people to know that, that's why I get insurance. You want to make sure your family's protected and that we're going to let you get back to your property, and we're going to make sure that's not being looted and everything's protected. But, to bring back a life, you can't do that. And you got to make sure you take care of your family.
And Earl, as we go into the first break, of course, we'll have 2 more segments. If you're tuning in, we'd like for you to stay for all of them. But I know last year, we got a reprieve, thank God. We needed it. We almost needed the whole year this year for people to repair from Ida. Some people still have not prepared. But did you find a heightened sense of concentration and awareness in that room when y'all were having that meeting the other day?
Oh, definitely. Everybody that was in that room experienced Ida pretty much. And they know, what we went through. And the biggest issue that we, got through in that room was what things that occurred during Ida that we need to fix and to do better and to provide for our citizens. And we've gotten quite a few suggestions, and we're going to work on that to make sure that our citizens are taken care of. And I want to say pre-storm and post-storm.
All right, let's do this. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll show you a little more B-roll to get you ready, and we'll ask them about their punch list and different things of that nature. When we come back, don't go away.
Since 1954, Terrebonne General has been a beacon of health and hope in our community. As we mark 7 decades of dedication to your well-being, Terrebonne General Health System remains committed to advancing healthcare, improving lives, and expanding our services to meet your evolving needs. In celebrating our past, we look forward to a future filled with promise and progress. Your health is our legacy. To discover more, visit tghealthsystem.com.
All right, we are back here with the Terrebonne Parish President, Jason Bergeron. Also, Mr. Earl Hughes, the EOC Director. We're talking, of course, hurricanes. It's that time of the year again. I want to bring up a slide right here, and almost hate to bring these up every year. Me and the parish president were talking before the show. It's like, who sits here? Who makes this stuff up? I don't know. Sometimes they're close, sometimes they're way off. But if we don't run it, they're going to say, well, why you didn't run the predicted storms? But there you see it, Mr. Parish President. It's, and Earl looking at this, named storms 17 to 25, hurricanes 8 to 13, major hurricanes 4 to 7. Does that alarm you?
It doesn't alarm me, and Earl brought it up early when we were talking, that it was the 4th most active storm season last year, I think. Mm-hmm. And so when you look at, before Ida, we were in the cone of uncertainty 8 times, I think it was. And so, the goal is just to be prepared. We're going to say some prayers and work on that. God keeps storms from affecting us, and really you don't want it to affect anybody, right? But, be prepared. And we know we have excellent people in place that are going to do everything they can to take care of us before, during, and after the storm.
Earl, let me come to you because I've said this so many times for Ida. Those pine trees that were tumbling down on everybody's house were planted right after Hurricane Betsy. everybody got these saplings, they planted them, and 65, whatever it was, years later, they're falling on people's houses for Hurricane Ida. And I remember telling people, plant cypress trees. They've been pretty good. They're not as heavy. When a pine tree comes thundering down, it's an awesome spectacle, but it takes whatever it wants out. So doesn't that help that we've sort of been purged of a lot of these big trees? I would think that would help us, wouldn't it?
Yeah, a lot of these trees that were old were probably, toppled over or, lost a lot of limbs. So the tree companies came in here and try to, trim most of those up. But, every year that we experience a major storm like that, those trees also take a hit. And so, what's the next category 4 going to do to that oak tree that you had in your yard that's been there for, hundreds of years? I try to tell people that if they have trees around their yards, to make sure they're trimmed and try not to have any limbs hanging over your house, because if they fall, they're going to go through your roof. And then, if you have a tree that you think is might have some damage already, or it's just doesn't look healthy, to get an arborist out there and take a look at it, because you may want to remove that tree before hurricane season.
Yeah, sometimes trees look pretty good and they hollow.
That's correct.
On the inside.
That's correct.
And Mr. Parish President, I would think the most nervous person in the state of Louisiana as we go into storm season is the insurance commissioner. I mean, now look, he's trying. I had him on the other day, but my God, there's a lot of people in Terrebonne Parish still trying to get back on their feet from previous storms. And I'm sure you hear quite a bit when you're driving around and talking to people. They're just, everybody in the fortitude of people to try to get back on their feet around here is second to none. But you see it firsthand, don't you?
Yeah, and you look, even in the parish government, our first, second floor government tower will be completed hopefully in August. So we're still building them back. We have some projects that ain't even started as we work through with FEMA to get money for that stuff. And so, a lot of roofs have been changed. There's always that opportunity to fortify the home more whenever you go through a problem like we had and an issue like we had. So, I'm hoping that as we continue to build better and get the structures in place that have the codes, you can see a lot of stuff that had the codes didn't have issues. So, I think we are better prepared, and sometimes, the best laid plan works great till you get punched in the mouth, and Ida kind of did that to us. And so from there, we've been working since Ida to make sure we do a better job, and we make sure our residents and all are protected. So I'm confident in our teams to be ready for this storm, like I said, before, during, and after.
Yeah, and like you said, people have changed their roofs. We got people say, you're going to stay in your building again if you have a storm like that? I said, hell yeah, I'm staying here. It's already been through a Cat 5, so I got a Cat 5 building. But don't get me wrong. I was nervous sitting through that storm because you don't know what you have until it hits. And, if your roof goes flying and all that, and just down the road, we had roofs flying all over the place. But, God, it sure helps when you're rebuilding, and we overkilled it. We had 8-inch screws in the roofs over here, and I remember people going, why are you putting 8-inch screws? That roof's still here. So overkill sometimes is pretty good. How much have y'all relied on code in the administration? I'm sure that's been talked about quite a bit.
Yeah, there's still some conversations about what the state's going to accept or wants to do as far as the international codes and fortified homes and those conversations. But even with all that in place, the thing that everybody has to be aware of during a hurricane is all it takes is one tornado. I saw situations, especially all the tornadoes that have been hitting across the country right now.
700 something.
Man, just to see the devastation of a tornado and going in that path, so that's what you got to be conscious of, is that a tornado can turn up at any point in the hurricane anywhere and just wreak havoc. So that's why we say, that's why we have insurance. That's why we'll work real hard to make sure people get back into the parish and can get access their property and check it out. But evacuate if we have the situation come up again, so that you take care of, protect your family.
Then I'll talk a little bit about evacuation. When we come back, we'll take a break. We'll be back for our final segment, so don't go away. Important stuff here.
Today's social media segment is brought to you by Terrebonne General Health System. Your health is our legacy. Rouse's, you're either local or you're not. Buick, the craft of modern luxury. St. Martin and Bork, know your rights. South Louisiana Bank, it's better when we bank together. Waits and Downer, attorneys at law. Terrebonne Ford, built Ford tough. Alford and Associates, for all of your insurance needs. CIS, Cardiovascular Institute of the South, the highest quality cardiovascular care available. Barker Honda, the Barker family tradition of quality.
All right, hurricane preparedness here, 2024. We all remember Ida. We want to forget Ida, but we're going to remind you of it to get you ready, because we don't know what's coming down the pipe with all these predictions this year. And I want to say this: I'm not picking on people that live in mobile homes and all this, but you've heard me say this before. You call all the time. I want to know if you could stay in a mobile home for category 3, 4, 5. I don't say this to be mean or coy. I wouldn't stay in a mobile home in a Cat 2 or Cat 1. The winds wrap around it, compress it, crush it like a can. We've said that before. Find a structure big enough to go evacuate to and come back later and hope for the best. And Earl, I know you've been around for me saying that a long time, but it's a fact. We're not trying to be mean. We're just trying to be factual.
It is a fact. And we still have about 700 families that are still in temporary housing that was provided by either FEMA or the state of Louisiana. If you're in one of them temporary housing units, you definitely need to seek shelter, even for a tropical storm. Mm-hmm. So, and we will, in this parish, we will provide shelter for these residents in the event that we have a storm affecting our parish. But yeah, you need a game plan. What is your game plan? What are you going to do? Make that game plan now. Don't wait till the storm's in the Gulf. Figure out where you're going to go, how you're going to get there, and make sure you have the necessities that when you evacuate.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. And, in these meetings, anything new that gets implemented, from storm to storm, I'm sure there's a moment where you go, man, this would work. And I'm sure it's like that at a local level, but how much feedback comes from the federal government or the state in these EOC offices? Is there any, or is it mostly relied upon locally?
Well, FEMA is always there to assist us, and so is GOSEP, the Governor's Office of Homeland Security and Emergency Preparedness. And, they, like FEMA experiences disasters all over the country. So when they see something that works, they'll come down and say, hey, guys, we saw this worked in Minnesota, or, the tornadoes that affected Kansas. And they'll give us some ideas on how to improve. A lot of it's on communication. Mm-hmm. Okay, what's been available, what's new in order to provide for communication. Same thing with the state. So, you've asked some of the things that we're going to implement. I think, we rely on social media and computers and our phone devices to give us information. Mm-hmm. During a storm, this is not available. Mm-hmm. So one of the things we're gonna implement this year is utilizing like your media mm-hmm. and also radio. To get information. Everybody has a transistor radio. They can listen to it in their car. They can listen to it while they're doing their yard work or repairing their homes. And we think that we can get more information out on a timely basis by using that aspect.
Yeah, and it's about, we have 3 ways to get to people. If one fails, we go to 2. 2 fails. I remember we lost our tower one time. We rented a crane. You got to survive to get the message out. Let me ask you something, Jason, as far as, in a major storm, tropical storms, you're not going to see the governors coming in too much or the federal government coming in. But obviously, you're going to be pretty tied up with a lot of bureaucratic stuff, too. So I bet you've been thinking that out also.
Well, we did the hurricane drill last week, and when you look at that, it's a conversation that starts so many hours out, and we went around the room and what is your group handling? What does this group handle? Fire, police, public works, just going through everything to say, what does it look like as we get closer to storm? And, I look at even in a situation like Ida, that storm jogged east at the last minute. And I think that actually helped us. And so to go down to the ground zero where that storm hit, and you look at like Grand Isle, and that's, after that storm passed, it almost looked like two different islands.
Yeah.
One island, one half was devastated. One looked like nothing ever hit. And so, and that's what goes back to not waiting and being precautious. And I know that, when you look at people and being able to afford to evacuate and everything, you've seen some more video damage there. A mile here and a mile there does make a difference. And a lot of times you won't know until it's too late. So we have a communications department in the parish now, and we're gonna, we got a lot of different ways we're looking to share some information and get the word out, get out in the communities, understand what they're dealing with, and get the message back to EOC and the home base of where everything's where we'll be making decisions from.
I remember when we were on live for Ida, and we went to Grand Isle, and 4 hours before the eye even hit, I mean, it looked like all hell was breaking loose. And I remember a big camp flying in front of the camera, and we lost it. And I was like, I knew at that point, this is the worst we've ever seen in a long, long time. But Earl, back to you. The insurance companies, like you said, they're not just looking at Terrebonne Parish. They're getting hammered all over Florida. These tornadoes, 700 of them, there's going to be a lot of claims filed. So that affects everybody.
Sure does. I mean, just last year, there were $28 billion weather events throughout the country. So, and we only had one hurricane make landfall in the United States, which was Idalia in the Big Bend area of Florida. So it's not just a hurricane; it's all these other events like tornadoes, flooding, wildfires that's affecting our insurance industry. It's not just a local Terrebonne, Louisiana issue. It's throughout the country, and I think some of this we can attribute to some climate change that we're seeing, which is elevated temperatures, sea level rise, and so I think to be honest with you, we're going to be in the long run, the long haul of seeing more and more disasters in our country.
Well, I like seeing you guys on a regular basis, but I sure hope I'm not seeing y'all every day, 8 to 10 times a day. So thank y'all for the preparation. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
God bless y'all through this hurricane season. And let's all work together to keep everybody safe.
Thank you for having us, and everybody, think about being safe and taking care of your families, and we'll help make sure you get back to your property.
Amen. We'll be right back.